What is up, students? Whenever I was in junior high, one of my favorite games to play was Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And I didn't skateboard. I wasn't into BMX or anything like that. But I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater for my Xbox, and it was like one of the coolest games that I ever played. And in fact, they just remastered Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and so you guys should play those games. They're pretty legit. And Tony Hawk is a pretty big name. Tony Hawk, if you don't know, is one of the greatest skateboarders. I don't know, he's probably known as the greatest skateboarder in the history of the world. By the time he was 16, 17 years old, he was known as one of the best skateboarders in the world. He won over 70 skateboard competitions, has his own skateboarding company, video games made after him. He's in movies, all these different things. Like, he is a big deal. His name carries a lot of weight, but he's kind of at the point to where, you know, what he's famous for what he did kind of back in the day, a long time ago, and so people recognize the name, but usually not so much what he actually looks like. And so he has some insanely hilarious tweets of people running into him, and they just can't quite put a finger on who he is. And there was one time where he was checking into an airport, and so the security people, they're looking at his ID, and they see his last name Hawk, and they're like, "Oh, Hawk, just like that skateboarder." And he's like, "Exactly, just like that." And he's the TSA guy goes, "Man, I wonder what he's up to today." And Tony Hawk just looks at him. He's like, "This." There was a time where he was getting off of a plane, and as he's getting, so the plane rolls in and they're about to leave, and so everyone's getting up, and as they're getting up, this woman in the overhead bin, she opens this overhead bin to get her bag out, and she says, "Hey, this skateboard's in my way. I can't get this bag out. Who's this belong to?" And she's expecting to turn around and be like this 12, 13-year-old kid, right? And she turns around and it's this 50-year-old dude, and he's like, "Hey, that's mine." And she's like, "It's yours? Like you ride this thing? You ride a skateboard? You're a grown man." And he says, "Yeah, that's mine, and you can hand it here." And so she hands it to him, and she's like, "Are you any good?" And this is hilarious, right? Like he understands the humor of it. She has no idea. But you just asked the greatest skateboarder in the history of the world if he's any good. And so he's just kind of, smiling, and he's like, "Yeah, sometimes I'm okay." And this woman starts just laughing at him, and she's laughing at him, and she walks off and she leaves. And I'm just thinking, like, how stinking rude is this lady? Like, she's just, that in her mind, she's thinking, what an immature, childish person. Like, he's 50 years old and he's skateboarding and blah, blah, like just totally looking down on him. And this whole situation is because, like, she's a complete jerk to him, because she has a fundamental misunderstanding of who is standing right in front of her at that moment. Like, think about that. Like, if she understood the hours that he put in on a skateboard, if she understood the notoriety, the fame that he has, the video games made after him, how much money he's made, the hard work, the determination, the passion that he had to be able to become so gifted and skilled at something and successful in life, if she had any idea who she was talking to, that conversation would have went totally different. That interaction, that time that she would have spent with him would have looked like something completely different. And I think that our relationship with God and how we interact with God, in a lot of ways, is the same. That whenever we choose disobedience over obedience, that whenever we fail to really see the goodness of God and to have a desire to want to spend time with Him, that whenever we fail to place our trust in Him, whenever we fail to walk with Him, whatever it is, I think that those come out of a fundamental misunderstanding of who God is. And the more that we understand who God is, the more that we're going to want to walk in relationship with Him, the more that we are going to love who He is, the more that we are going to love to serve Him, the more that we are going to love serving others in a way that brings glory to His name. And so we're going to do a series of being led by your leaders. Your leaders are going to be doing the Devos over the next couple weeks of who is God and the attributes of God, because I truly believe that in Christianity, all too often, we focus more on ourselves and what we do and what we can accomplish and our abilities and my righteousness, my goodness, all these things about me, far too much and far too little on the incredible glory of who God is. And so that's what this series is going to be, is talking about who is God, some of the defining attributes, character traits of who God is. And I just really think that the more that we understand who he is, and the presence, man, who we stand before and who calls us his children and who our creator is, the more that we are going to just want to serve him and want to know more about who he is and the life that he has called us to. And so that's what we'll do in small groups. Before we talk about who God is, I want you guys to be able to discuss what are some things you've heard about God, what are some things you think about God, to understand that maybe you spend a lot of time in church and Sunday school and you know a lot about God. Maybe there's people in your small group who don't. There are people in your schools, there are people in the teams, there are people that you know, that you talk to, there are people in your own family that don't really understand a lot about who God is. And so for us, as people who do know God, maybe it's important for us to hear others and to know their thoughts about God, so that we are able to better reach them and to be able to better show them the love of God. So excited for you guys to be able to talk about those things, and miss you. Look forward to seeing you soon. So.